Greetings, and welcome to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal. You can also find me on Facebook in the Sorcerers Guild. Today on the S1 project, we are going to be talking about what is wrong with this reality. Okay, so we're going to talk about what is wrong with this reality, the layers of deception that is caused, and then we'll talk a little bit about a few potential solutions going forward. Okay, so what is wrong with this reality? It can be summed up as simply as cognitive dissonance. We have created a narrative or belief of what we think reality is. And now we are trying to apply that narrative and make the make the territory conform to the map. And this causes a lack of resonance within the reality, and that's part of what causes a lot of the problems in our world. Now, as I said, there are layers of deception to this, but we'll get into that in just a moment. A better way to think of this concept is as if reality is a spell that has been cast, because in many ways it has. And it was a spell that was cast with the intent originally of experiencing this reality, of interacting with it, of learning what it is. But over time, as we became disconnected from our original intent, we have instead become confused and filled with fear. That has caused us to try and create the reality around us through the belief that we have of what it is supposed to be, rather than interacting with it and creating it into what we want it to be by dealing with the truth of what it is. And so this causes, as I said, a lack of resonance with our experience of reality, and that's where our problem of reality comes from. Now, as I'm saying this, a lot of you are probably already immediately thinking, yes, we're too focused on the material realm. Well, that is the first layer of deception. We are not focused on the material realm. We are focused on a part of the mental plane where that narrative is created. We are focused on the map and trying to make the map the territory. The territory, in this metaphor, of course, would be the material plane. And full reality, of course, is focused on all three planes at the same time, because we exist in the mental, the astral, and the material plane at all times. But we tend to be focused on this idea and narrative of what it is we want reality to be, and we're convinced that we're practical, we're pragmatic, we're focused on the material, the physical, but we're not. We're focused on ideas and concepts as a whole, as a society, that, well, it is apparent to see with the world around us that our common sense of what we think is important isn't what's really important, and we're quickly destroying the world around us and destroying the material realm because we don't want to believe the evidence before our eyes. And so instead of letting results be our guide as to what is real and what exists, we keep focusing on narratives that have been drilled into us since we were children. Since the moment we were born, we were taught that progress in the form of money, in the form of building and owning, that these are the important things, that there's these authority figures in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm that are greater than us, that know better than us for what is proper for our own lives and the way that we should exist. And sometimes, I'm not saying that people of learned education don't know more about whatever it is that they've studied than the average person. That's not what I'm saying here. In fact, that is one of the things that people get focused on. That's one of the ideas where we get stuck, is that everything is just so practical and pragmatic, and we don't want anything to be complex. So if we don't understand something, we tend to want to push it out of our minds or disbelieve it. And that has put us where we are now. And the other layers of deception on that, of course, are the ideas of what is important with things like money. There is very little in this world that is artificial. There's very little that is truly man-made. Even plastics, anything on the material realm, is not truly man-made. It has been man-altered. We pull oil up out of the ground, we heat it, we do things to it, we make plastics, we make all these things that we call artificial. But they all started with the earth. The only things that are artificial are the false deceptions and lies that we have created. Like the idea that money has value. It only has value because we all believe in that lie. The ideas of ownership, that someone can own a vast tract of land. Yes, one can have rights to such land, but you can't actually own it, except for that everyone else believes the lie and enforces the lie, that it is yours. And these are the types of things that do not resonate with the facts of reality. So, solutions going forward. Well, there's a lot of things in this. It's not just about the social economic structure. There's a lot of problems there. That's where the main problems with our reality are coming in, because we're so convinced that these things that don't matter are what matters, and we're so focused on them, we're allowing the world around us to fall apart. And that's a huge problem. That's a huge mental problem with this reality. And that's not us as individuals. That's the entire collective consciousness of the human race. Yeah? We are all focused on these ideas of civilization, of creating these walls, of making us pretending that we are outside of nature, that we are somehow artificial. But we are not. There is no escaping the wild. We can build cities, but they're part of the wild. They were built by monkeys, us. They were built by humans. Humans are part of the earth, not apart from it. Okay, so solutions going forward. The first ones are of a personal nature. Anytime you make assumptions about reality, question those assumptions. I hate to sound cliche, but mindfulness. Be mindful of what you're doing. And when you catch yourself using, mind-terminating cliches, like it is what it is, though that one actually has a lot of truth in it, but when you use these mind-terminating cliches about, well, life's just not fair, that sort of thing, don't allow yourself to leave the thought there. Don't allow yourself to think of the city as artificial. It is part of the wild too. Nature is everywhere. Allow yourself to see the systems that are everywhere. And when you make instant assumptions or thoughts without thinking, question those. Why do you frame things the way you do? Question your framing, most importantly. Question the way that you view things when you are making decisions. And we can also do this with a meditation, because there are outside influences. There is a flow within the mental plane that affects our own thoughts. We are all part of that collective consciousness. So those thoughts, that flow, does affect us. We can use our personal sigil and focus with a moment of meditation on isolating our own individual thought process from the collective and coming to a decision outside of that flow. And then once you have pulled into that, then focus on the thing you were trying to decide, and you can come to a conclusion that hopefully is less affected by the collective consciousness and the things that are wrong with our reality. So, solutions going forward about improving this in the collective consciousness. Well, one of these is simply to spread this idea that reality is much fuller, much more interactive than we realize, that we must be part of it, that we must interact with our interreality and exchange thoughts and ideas with the full process and come to understand it. And try not to put masks over top of it. We don't just do this to reality. Yeah, we do this to people as well. We tend to put masks of what we want people to be over top of who they really are. And that is a good example of this. Yeah, when you do that to someone, you never really fully resonate with them. You never fully understand them. This is what causes a lot of problems in relationships. It's because you expect people to be who you think they are rather than who they really are. And you treat them as if they are the person you want them to be rather than the person that they are. And we must do that, not only must we stop doing that with each other, we must stop doing that with the world at large. And so, treating people authentically, behaving authentically, and helping that spread, obviously, is the first step in this. But there is a collective mental flow to this, and there are thought forms that maintain the flows going the way they are, and not just with the way our society is created, but there are literal thought forms in this. And we're going to be working on a way to limit or remove their influence from the collective consciousness. Of course, that isn't going to be an immediate reaction, and we have a few theories on how to go about that, but that's what this project, the S1 project, is going to be focusing on for the next little while, is how to limit the influence of the parasitic thought forms that are affecting our reality. Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you once again for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please take the opportunity to do so now. There's going to be a lot more to come. Anyways, bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tal.